Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. And this, think about the way I've been doing these videos is kind of a bit like the old-fashioned thing when somebody's trying to field notes or whatever they're trying, like writing a story like I'm doing, or it's actually a bunch of stories, and, you know, just taking notes to themselves, but I'm making it into a video and I'm, you know, making them public. And they're all copyrighted anyway, the notes, the rough drafts, the highlights, the stories, all of it. That's one of the reasons I'm you know, making them public, publishing them on YouTube. Just one of the reasons. I was writing these stories for years and doing stories on YouTube before, you know, not in these, but for different reasons, and then these. Okay, anyway, let me get to this. I want to talk about one of the characters that I just recently made this character. His name is Ross, R-O-S-S, and he's a 42-year-old man. He is a captain in the sheriff's department. Okay, now I'm not all that knowledgeable about how the sheriff's department works, and I looked him up, and I think I've got it right. So he's a captain. Now, let me read my notes here. He felt like that he had basically dedicated his life to, you know, being a deputy and so on and so forth, going up the ranks, and so much, in fact, that it was really what caused the end of his marriage to his only wife that he ever had. And, you know, he had only had that one marriage, and they never had kids. But he spent so much time, you know, dedicating to that the marriage broke up, and he admits he was wrong. It was his fault, and but that was, you know, no excuse for that. He shouldn't have gotten married if he wasn't going to be fully in the marriage. But, you know, he knew that this was his goal in life. Okay, it wasn't to be married. So yeah, like I said, he shouldn't have been married. Anyway, he grew up in a town that's called, the town is in Victorson County, Texas, and the town is actually called, it has a long history, it's called the Outlaws. Okay, that's where he grew up. Now, in Victorson County, Texas, it's kind of isolated from other places, and by the way, it's fictional. Texas isn't fictional, but this county and all that's involved in it is fictional, just created in my own mind. So anyway, they're isolated from other places. The closest place is the big city, and it is about 2 hours from the closest part of the county. So, okay, the nearest part, that is. And many of the people that live in Victorson County, some of them have homes in the big city, and they go back and forth, and some of them move there permanently, but they still have property in Victorson County. In Victorson County, anybody who is a descendant from the original settlers, the original, you know, ones who founded it, the county, they can buy property within the county. It's an old rule. They have their own rules. This is a county that they play by the rules. They don't break the law, I mean, but they have their own kind of rules. And it's so customary. It's so much part of the culture that people just are fine with it. You know, it's so much part of the culture. But they are the only ones who can own property, like their houses, and they inherited. You know, their inheritance, their property, like even businesses. They're the only ones who can. Now, the people they marry, they do not get dual ownership. They sign contracts, you know, prenups. So, even though that's in Texas, so yeah. But this is fiction, like I said. And anyway, the county, all of it is basically rich. These people are rich, and except for mainly one area, and that's the Outlaws. Okay, that's where most of the distribution and factories and stuff like that are, and the people that were born and raised there cannot buy property in the rest of the county. Okay, people have to be born in anywhere but there. Okay, that are descendants, And even if there are descendants, you know, they were their family. Yeah, they're paying the price for what their family did earlier on. You know, the people who were sent there, you know, because they broke the law or whatever they did that was not welcomed, they were sent to the outlaws, that town. Going back all the way to the beginning, you know, when they started to, you know, after they had developed enough, they wanted one place for people, you know, all the bad kind of things. So that's what they did. They called it the outlaws. And then the outlaws, people who live there, they're not changing it. They said it's got a rich history. So anyway, Ross grew up there. Now, there are good, decent people that are born there, raised there, like Ross. And, yeah, it was just the luck of the draw kind of thing. And he lost. But he grew up in that town, the Outlaws. But he married a descendant from, you know, the rest of the county, Victorson County. You know, somebody who was a descendant and had owned property. Now, once they got divorced, of course, he lost. He was not able to keep the company. You know, they weren't divided up. They had signed prenup. So she got the house. And he went back to the Outlaws. And like I said, he became a deputy. The sheriff's department is actually there. So, and moved it there to keep a good eye on things. And like I said, they had their own little set of rules. Okay. Now, fast forward to now, he is, like I said, a captain in the sheriff's department. Let me see what I wrote down. Criminal Investigations Division. Kidnapping investigations is his specialty. And he, you know, because of, now let me get to the rest. Now that's kind of like the background part. Let me get to this. Okay, and pardon the way that I'm doing the videos, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just like I'm making my own notes here, you know, like holding the old-fashioned, these days we use our cameras, many of us, but, you know, the old-fashioned tape recorder in your hand kind of thing. Anyway, now he was on this case. Okay, he and his crew, I don't know if you call him crew or what, but his staff. Okay, they have been noticing a lot of things. Well, they one case came up, one situation came up that really brought question to his mind and a lot of other people that in his department and the sheriff and all this, that there was a situation where a woman named Ruth was brought to a doctor. They just call him Doc Rick. Okay, and there was some kind of questions about. I don't want to give away that part of it, but it was very questionable about what happened with her, and so, you know, what happened with her spurred on a lot of other questions, and he started doing investigations about possible, alleged, possible, either one or both, kidnappings, okay, that have gone on for years, and they've gone on undetected because of various reasons. But it wasn't just Ruth, but it was more. But they've gone undetected because it was things like people who were married. You know, say you're happily married, and then all of a sudden your spouse leaves you a letter saying, "I want a divorce and it's over. Don't try to contact me. The papers will be sent," and they are. You know, they're sent to them, signed. You know, they have them served, and you know, that's that. And they never see them again over years. And now, who is going to? You know, they might try to. Somebody might try to, you know, do a missing persons thing, but nobody did. Okay, it was just okay, you know, accepted, whatever. And it was various people, various kinds of situations. I don't want to give away the other stories, but that come up that had him checking into this. Now, who reports that? If your spouse, like I'm saying, if your spouse just ups and leaves and that's it, many people, I think, would be so crushed, you know. But some, you know, some might, anyway. But nobody did in these cases. So, and this, like I said, over years. And so he started checking in, he and his crew, you know, started checking into that more and more. To, you know, more, they really started researching how many and, you know, who, what were the situations, you know, if they could get that information and go from there. Okay. And there was also a family where there was a really odd situation that happened with the parents many years ago, and not many, but several years ago. And all of these things started bringing more and more to the light, okay? Now, because of the more current one, the one with Ruth, and the doctor and all that, he got sent to this, the county had divided the elders that wanted to do this. They divided them into, they have ranches that surround the county. And these ranches, all of them, because they're dude ranches, they have something like a mansion, you know. You could think mansion. They had one, the XYZ. They all go by letters or numbers. And the XYZ ranch had held most of the elders that basically ran the county. You know, they get the last word. You know, like I said, they have their own kind of rules. But when 2020 happened, they got divided up among different ones for more than one reason, including like this one, that there was some suspicious activity going on, and they wanted them divided up. And they all divided up by, some of it like by age group or you know, age, and some by interest and stuff. And they went to these all these ranches and stayed in the dude ranch part, not dude ranch, but the mansion part, because these were dude ranches. One was an amusement park kind of thing, a lot of things there for the whole county. And like I said, they circled the whole county. And Ross wound up being sent to the DEF. They're in alphabetical order now. The DEF ranch, to run the whole investigation onto this whole Ruth situation and more from there. Because they also are going to, it's not only going to be elders that are going to be staying there, but many of them will be elders. Any elder that wants to, they're free to do what they want to. But if they want to be part of it, and they grew up in this has been consistent since the beginning, and of the, you know, eons ago, generations back, since it was first founded, first settled. And so that is part of their customs, their you know, culture, really, that they do this. They know the elders. Once they get to whatever age it is at the time, because of times changing and all, that they would run the, you know, basically run the county. They had the final decision on anything, and they could make suggestions. They don't own anybody or anything like that. You know, they're not that kind of harsh, but people grew up in it. They know this is the case. Okay, this is how it is, and they look forward to, you know, they don't look forward to growing old, but, you know, quickly. But once they do, they look forward to being, some of them, to participating themselves. Except for the people from the Outlaws now. Okay, they can't do that. They had their own. Okay. Okay, but anyway, this is not the norm outside of this, and it's not even their norm. Okay, even though their norm, it's quite different. I grew up in a place like that myself. But it's not their norm. But Ross was sent there to get it all started, you know, with his own crew, you know, whomever could do it. And this was started, you know, back then, with all the lockdowns and everything, that they put through, you know, everybody in the county went through lockdowns. They call them rolling lockdowns to, you know, what, I'm trying to avoid talking about all that, but, so there were certain elders that were going to be divided up, and each of them, you know, whichever people were at whichever ranch, they helped, and some of them were helped by other places like the sheriff's department. Well, that is, you know, the sheriff's department, some of the deputies, some of the police department, some of the, they had their own thing they called the enforcement. They basically do training and so forth, and more than just training though. And they all helped these elders to move. You know, some of them were already on the XYZ. That's the big one that they had stayed in most of the time. And they moved them around by interest, like I said, interest and age, whatever it was they wanted to be moved, you know, why. Like I said, it's not their norm. And it's not a norm for a captain of, in a sheriff's department to be moved on site. He chose to do that, but it was suggested. Okay, he chose to move on to that mansion, you know. And there's more to that kind of story, but I'll get on to that another day. But anyway, he, you know, to set it all up and get everything in working order for when people, you know, some of them moved in, but when others had to move in. All right, that's enough for this one for now. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.